Given that the first Countryman wasn't that good and had delusions of grandeur, many would be hard-pushed not to significantly improve on it with this second-generation outing. Happily, it has succeeded. Rivaling the likes of Audis Q2, the Mercedes-Benz GLA, the BMW X1 and, perhaps, the Mazda CX-3 or Jeep Renegade, the new Countryman has swollen even further in all directions. It's 200 mm longer, as well as wider and taller than its predecessor. Whereas that first effort resembled little more than a mini hatchback on stilts, this one actually boasts pretensions of styling. Roof rails are fitted as standard, with matching door sill trim, and the brand's trademark round headlamps are shunned in favor of an unusual blob. Vast improvement inside. The new tailgate is smaller, and is now both power and foot operated, the latter involving you waving a shoe around under the rear bumper to open it up. The tidy load space volume is some 100 liters larger than before, and incorporates a nifty option lurking beneath the floor, a picnic bench which folds out without fuss to provide a padded cushion on which to perch while changing into your walking boots, and an extra anti-dog claw flap of material to protect the sill paintwork. On board, much of the symphony of plastics which dominated the first Countryman has been replaced by next-generation mini-fittings, including the latest center console X speedometer walk, now housing a choice of 6.5 or 8.8-inch multi-information screens. The latter, an option, now has touchscreen capability. Mini claims that the new Countryman improves on the standard equipment levels of its predecessor to the tune of some 1,900 pounds. New free kit includes such goodies as the roof rails, sunroof, a rear-view camera, 17-inch alloys, Bluetooth and DAB radio and cruise control. Large suite of engines to choose from under the bonnet. An all-turbo 4-engine range includes 1.5-liter, 136 horsepower, 3-cylinder and branded 2.0-liter, 192 horsepower, 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engines, and a 2.0-liter diesel good for 150 horsepower in standard guise and 190 horsepower with the S appended. With the exception of the auto transmission only Cooper SD, all power plants may be mated to either 6-speed manual or 8-speed automatic transmissions, the latter available with optional flappy paddles. Every variant is also available with all 4 all-wheel drive capable of directing up to 100% of torque to either the front or rear wheels. There's also Mini's first ever plug-in hybrid model, the Cooper SE Countryman ALL4, which combines the 1.5-liter petrol engine and electric motor power to deliver range-topping performance of 0.62 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds, while as with all plug-in hybrids boasting hilarious fuel consumption of 134.5 miles per gallon. The automatic gearbox is a good fit for the larger, family-oriented bulk of the Countryman, with smooth, relaxed changes. Drives like a Mini should helped by a slightly longer wheelbase. The ride's better than before, but not great. Though a hint more suppleness has been built in, there's still a deal of bump thump and the car never really settles, its restlessness on poorer surfaces especially noticeable at pottering speeds. The steering feels meaty even when maneuvering, but that weight is more pleasing as speeds rise and seems a fitting accompaniment to the newfound bulk of the car. Given its greater heft and added ground clearance, it's no surprise to discover that the Countryman handles very much in the manner of a fat hatchback all-wheel drive, adding useful dollops of extra grip and traction. The manifold shortcomings of the first fully fat Mini didn't seem to deter buyers. Over 500,000 units were sold worldwide between 2010 and 2016, nearly 80,000 in the UK, the brand's liveliest marketplace alone. A better car in every department. This new Countryman is more spacious and versatile than before, not to mention boasting a far higher quality interior. If the brand is your bag, and a swelling family demands a swelling car, then Mini has at last conjured an offering fit for purpose. The verdict: the Mini Countryman is a vast improvement over the car it has replaced. The design is more coherent, the interior now feels befitting of its premium price, and there's genuine space for 5 on board. It's also good to drive with an eclectic selection of engines and transmissions to choose from. However, the design won't be appreciated by all customers, and prices can rack up if you hit the options list. Click onto the driving section below to continue reading the full Mini Countryman review. Vast number of powertrains to choose from should be something for everyone. Plug-in hybrid also available. Performance is served up by a range of turbocharged engines, both petrol and diesel, in a range of power outputs, meaning there should be something for most buyers, whether you want something more frugal or something performance-focused. Twin-power turbo petrol engines. Kicking off the petrol range is the Cooper, powered by a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbo producing 136 horsepower and 220 Nm of torque. It's good for a 0.62 mph sprint time of 9.6 seconds, and will reach a top speed of 126 mph when fitted with the 6-speed manual gearbox. Opting for the 8-speed auto takes the top speed down to 124 mph. Opting for a Cooper all-4 nets you the same engine, power and torque outputs, but with the reassurance of all-wheel drive traction. The 0.62 mph time drops to 9.8 seconds, while top speed is 122 mph. This is available with manual or auto gearboxes. Providing a significantly higher power output is the 192 horsepower Cooper S, powered by a 2.0-liter turbo. Torque is rated at 280 Nm, and sprints from 0.62 mph in 7.5 seconds. 7.4 seconds for the auto, with a maximum top speed of 140 mph. Again, a Cooper S all-4 is available for all-wheel drive security, this time with a faster 0.62 mph time of 7.3 seconds for the manual and 7.2 seconds for the auto. Top speed is 138 mph. Despite the performance figures, this particular version of the Countryman feels less exciting than you might expect, taking longer to whir into life when you put your foot down. Although the auto gearbox is smooth enough, no particular urgency is felt or heard until the turbo comes on song, at which point the Countryman moves along not quite smartly enough to substantiate the claimed performance figures. Happily, all is largely quiet and composed at a cruise, and the powertrain never runs out of oomph on gradients at motorway speeds, without excessive recourse to downshifts. Two diesel options. The range of diesel engines mimics those of the petrols, at least in terms of naming structure. The Cooper D is the entry point to the diesel range, powered by a 2.0-liter turbodiesel unit producing 150 horsepower and 330 Nm of torque. The 0.62 mph sprint is taken care of in 8.9 seconds with a manual gearbox fitted, while the auto takes 8.8 seconds. Top speed is 129 mph for both. An all-wheel drive version is also available in the form of the Cooper D all-4, with very slightly improved performance figures. It'll go from 0.62 mph in 8.8 seconds in manual form, and 8.7 seconds with the automatic gearbox fitted. Top speed is 127 mph on the move. The 2.0-liter diesel engine feels more than up to the task of hauling the Countryman along, with torque delivered smoothly and cleanly, especially for overtaking maneuvers. Traction from the all-4 system helps with clean pullaways, too, while it remains hushed and rarely becomes too coarse, even at higher revs. Providing more performance, but remaining economical is the Cooper S E, powered by a 190 horsepower version of the 2.0-liter diesel found in the Cooper D. Torque is rated at a hefty 400 Nm, providing plenty of punch for overtaking maneuvers, while 0.62 mph is dispatched in 7.7 seconds. And it'll go on to a top speed of 137 mph. This is the only Countryman not available with a manual gearbox. The Cooper S E all-4's 0.62 mph time falls to 7.4 seconds, and will reach 135 mph. John Cooper Works provides even more performance at the pinnacle of the Countryman range in terms of performance is the John Cooper Works all-4. Powered by a 2.0-liter turbo petrol, it produces 231 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque, driven through all four wheels and a 6-speed manual gearbox as standard. The 0.62 mph time is just 6.5 seconds, and the car will go on to a top speed of 145 miles per hour. Opting for the automatic version of the JCW doesn't change any of the performance figures. Plug-in hybrid appeals to company car drivers at a more sensible end of the range, at least in terms of economy, is the plug-in hybrid Countryman Cooper S E ALL4. It combines the 136 horsepower 1.5-liter turbo from the Cooper with an electric motor producing the equivalent of 88 horsepower, making a total system output of 224 horsepower and 385 Nm of torque. It'll go from 0-62 miles per hour in just 6.8 seconds, making it the second fastest Countryman after the full-fat JCW. The ALL4 system provides the traction and the ability to make this model the Mini capable of running as a rear-wheel drive. That's because there's no prop shaft for the ALL4 system. Instead, electric motors power the rear wheels, so when you're driving on battery power alone, it's only rear-wheel drive. The rest of the time, the engine powers the front wheels, depending on which of the e-drive modes you've selected to drive in. There's an e-boost function, which uses battery power in reserve to provide extreme fat speeds above 78 miles per hour, where laws permit. Otherwise, it can run in auto e-drive mode, which uses a combination of petrol engine and battery power to provide the propulsion, while battery save mode stores battery power to use later, for example in an urban environment. In auto e-drive mode, the Countryman switches seamlessly between running on engine and electric power, remaining refined at all times. It's nippy too, thanks to instant torque available from the electric motor, and lives up to its Cooper S badge as a result. Fully charged, the plug-in hybrid will travel for up to 26 miles on battery power alone and at speeds of up to 78 miles per hour, and produces just 49 gkm of CO2. However, it can vary depending on how you're driving. Putting your foot down all the time will see that battery power deplete rapidly, so it's best reserved for use in town where this version really comes into its own. Good body control and little roll feels agile for its size. All four models add grip and traction. Mini has spent a great deal of money and time ensuring that front McPherson strut and pricey multi-link rear suspension systems guarantee its cars handle with more than a passing nod to the energy of the original Mini. And happily, despite a fair degree of added bloat over the stock hatchback, the Countryman acquits itself with satisfactory aplomb. Given its extra height and ground clearance, the Countryman's never going to have the feeling of darting agility that we've grown used to in the Mini hatchback, but it corners tidily, with less roll than expected and good body control. All-wheel drive adds useful amounts of added grip and traction in foul weather, though standing water will still throw it briefly out of kilter. Overall, the Countryman is one of the best handling crossovers on sale thanks to its tidy body control and confidence-inspiring driving manners. It also helps that you sit low in the car, which makes it feel more like a regular hatchback than a proper SUV. Cockpit is pure Mini with lots of character, much easier to navigate than old models, still fussy for some. Driving position won't suit all. Mini points to the strong degree of Britishness it has been able to maintain in its interior design, referring to such details as the toggle switchgear, upholstery stitching and lower dashboard knit rolls as examples of detailing you'd never find in a German car. Form over function, that's all very well, but we wonder whether the haphazard feel to instrument and switchgear placement isn't also something we wouldn't find in a German car. Gleefully shedding the plastic fantastic of old, the dashboard of the new Countryman is now laden with stock, latest generation Mini model range kit. Many aficionados will be delighted, but, to the uninitiated eye, there seems to be very little homogeny here, as if individual components have been styled in separate rooms before meeting for the first time on board. A pity, because the quality of fit and finish seems a significant step change better than that of its predecessor, even if the quantity of switchgear seems overwhelming on first contact. Infotainment is slick and easy to operate. Mostly the central walk still dominates the dashboard, but no longer boasts a speedometer with a face that would pass muster on a grandfather clock. Instead, it plays host to the latest generation of Mini's infotainment screens, a 6.5-inch unit fitted as standard, and an option 8.8-inch unit, which, For the first time, boasts touchscreen operation and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The latter is a blessing, because the central armrest makes accessing the rotary controller mounted immediately in front of it uncomfortable, as it's set low down on the center console behind the gear lever. However, spend a little time in the Countryman and you'll quickly learn the ins and outs. The infotainment system is derived from BMW's iDrive, meaning it's easy to operate, despite the many menus, and you can forgive the amount of similar-looking buttons and toggle switches because, at least, they're interesting. You can't beat a starter button that glows red before you start the car. Lots of adjustment in the seats, plenty of space to get comfortable, firm suspension compromises right once you've hiked the seat up a fair degree to see over that imposing cliff of a dashboard. The driving position, and the front seats themselves, are perfectly comfortable. The wheel adjusts for reach and rake, and is, if you can find a bit of it, not littered with switchgear to hold, also a well-sized, comfortable fit. Not all drivers will find it easy to get comfortable quickly, though. The pedals feel far away for those with smaller legs, especially noticeable when you need to depress the clutch, that can lead you to feeling too close to the wheel just to be able to reach. In turn, you may need to move the seat up higher, which feels fine in terms of visibility, but then you're jacked up high above the dashboard and center console, which makes things difficult to reach. Take some time to adjust the seat, steering wheel and mirrors to find the perfect position though, because you may find yourself making small adjustments on the move if you do it in a hurry. Plenty of space and bigger cabin. Some 75 mm of extra length has gone into the wheelbase of the new Countryman, and most of that has been dedicated to welcome extra knee room for rear seat passengers. The sliding rear seat benches split 60 hours 40 minutes while the folding seat backs are split 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds. Mini claims 5-seat status for the Countryman, but possibly not ideal for long journeys. The car is pretty quiet while cruising, with road noise and predictably given the upright stance of the windscreen, wind noise vying for dominance in a cabin which requires only a modest hike in voice volume to allow conversation at motorway speeds. Harsh ride compromises comfort, all of which would prove more admirable were the car not let down by its ride quality. Every single version in the Countryman range is badged Cooper, leaving the nagging suspicion that everything has been wound a tad too tight in the undercarriage department to ensure a degree of handling worthy of the moniker. And that's okay if you're flying along on a respectable road surface, but at gentler, family car speeds the Countryman simply refuses to settle down. Even the fair degree of bump and thump over larger divots and ruts would prove acceptable were it not for the constant fidgeting of the body on anything but mirror-smooth surfaces. Irritating. Generous equipment list as standard, even more to be added at extra cost. Don't go too wild with your spending. Mini says that standard equipment levels have been bolstered by £1,900 worth of extras compared with the previous Countryman, making value for money much better than before. Standard Mini Countryman SUV equipment. A standard Mini Countryman comes with the following kit: 16-inch alloy wheels, Sat-nav DAB radio, Bluetooth phone connectivity, air conditioning, keyless start, rear view camera, cruise control, roof rails, automatic lights and wipers, 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds, split folding rear seats on top of a standard model. The Chili Pack adds different style of cloth sports seats, keyless entry, storage compartment, pack, mini driving modes, climate control, LED headlights, LED fog lights, 17-inch alloy wheels, 18-inch for Cooper S and SD. Alternatively, the John Cooper Works Chili Pack adds the Chili Pack equipment, plus 18-inch JCW alloy wheels, JCW door sill finishers, steering wheel and gear lever, bespoke body kit with JCW badges, black headlining. Optional Mini Countryman SUV accessories. The options list is where you can add a bewildering array of extra equipment that could add a significant amount to the price of the car if you don't control yourself. Many are bundled into packs, which are expensive but represent a saving over choosing the options individually. Media Pack XL adds a wider infotainment screen, a more advanced Sat-nav system with 3D mapping, connected services, internet access for searches, wireless charging and a 20 GB hard drive. Mini Years Pack, leather upholstery, different trim finishes for the dashboard, slightly different steering wheel. Mini Tech Pack, Includes the Media Pack XL, head-up display, Harman Kardon sound system upgrade and rear-view camera mini activity pack, larger fuel tank, electric tailgate, nets for the boot, adjustment for the rear seats, picnic bench in the boot. Various other individual options can be added in the form of metallic paint, alloy wheels, contrasting roof colors and stripes, interior trim and seat fabrics. On top of this, things like parking sensors are a practical option that will make life easier, while a panoramic sunroof brightens up the interior significantly. The mini range can be confusing for some, as many options are bundled into packs, but also available individually if you want to pick and choose. 5-star Euro NCAP crash safety rating. More kit can be added at extra cost. Makes for safe family transport. The Mini Countryman has performed well on Euro NCAP crash tests, achieving a 5-star rating. The standard collision warning with city brake function can be extended to include a driving assistant package which uses camera-based adaptive cruise control, and also comes with high beam assist and traffic sign recognition. In addition, useful features like parking sensors and reversing camera can make life easier, while a head-up display keeps your eyes more focused on the road. Boot bigger than before. Longer wheelbase means more space. Quirky interior. A mini hallmark. The new Mini Countryman is 20 centimeters longer overall than the car it replaces, with a 7.5 centimeters growth in the wheelbase. That translates to extra room in the cabin for passengers and luggage. Up front there's more headroom than before thanks to a higher roofline. The dashboard is the usual Mini fare, with a large central speedo with widescreen for the infotainment system sitting in the middle. It's a quirky design that's attractive to look at, although it's not the most ergonomic, with random buttons dotted about all over the place. However, once familiarized with the layout, it's easy enough to use, and the infotainment system is a more fun-looking version of BMW's slick iDrive system, controlled via rotary controller. There's enough space up front with plenty of adjustment in the seats. However, the upright windscreen might take a little getting used to compared with regular crossovers. The higher ride height means visibility is good, but cars with darker tinted rear windows will notice the difference. More rear seat space. Bigger changes have come in the rear, where there's easier access than before thanks to wider doors, while the seats can slide back and forth 13 centimeters and the backrests will tilt, too. This means adults will fit with ease and a long journey won't cause any aching backs thanks to a very generous amount of legroom. There's a generous amount of headroom, too, because of that high, squared-off body shape. The backrests split and fold 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds, so you can configure it how you like depending on whether you prioritize legroom over boot space and vice versa. Boot standard capacity is 450 liters for the Countryman, which is 100 liters more than the previous car. This can be increased to 1,390 liters by folding the rear seats flat. That's a 220-liter total increase over the previous generation model. That makes it much more competitive with its crossover rivals like the Audi Q2, Nissan Qashqai and Renault Kadjar, but it can't quite match up to cars like the Cee'd with its 510-liter load space. Extra storage packs can be added, such as one that adds a variable height boot floor and fixings to latch down items in the boot, while access is easy on higher-spec models with an optional electric tailgate that can be opened by waving your foot under the rear bumper. You can even have a picnic bench fold out of the boot floor and perch on the rear of your Countryman for those days at the races. The Countryman is on a par with its compact SUV rivals when it comes to size, not really living up to its name. That said, it's easy enough to maneuver into small spaces because of its squared-off shape and upright windows. Where you might struggle is judging exactly where the front of the car is. Make sure you add parking sensors and if you're sitting particularly low down. However, the mirrors are big, which makes it easier when parking, and on the road it feels much smaller than its size suggests. Boot space has taken a huge leap forward over the previous Countryman, with 100 liters more space on offer, while more flexible features such as a split-level boot floor and a variety of nets help keep smaller items in check. Storage inside the car is good too, with plenty of cubbies around the center console and reasonable-sized door bins present and correct.